I've got my guide. So we basically, had a Reddit user asked, "How do you clear out games?" And sort of looking, um, not really. Is there more than getting a kill? But I'll get in more. Real thing to be. Why are gold play and higher and then are better than bronze and silver, and then why are you challenger master? But gold players at close. It's not really about getting elite. It's about closing out. Why are they? You don't have to worry about how they got the lead, where they got all. It's all very similar. So it doesn't matter what position. Top, jungle, mid, bottom lane. It all works on like a conceptual. Now obviously it's different, but so one thing I'd like to say, it doesn't matter what matter at all. The only thing that changes if your team is bad late game, you really don't want to go. You want to try to put everything I'm saying on sort of an accelerated timetable that you finish before 35 minutes. 35, 40, around then, but you understand. Faster. Late game team, whatever you're doing, you're still be okay with going to 35, 40 minutes. Well, 30 to 35 minutes regularly for the game because you're strong there. Now, if you're a late game team that somehow doesn't have team fighting ability, then you probably don't want to. But you know, it's whatever. But the point is, it doesn't matter whether you're early game or late game team. It's all the same. It's how fast you need to complete all these steps in order to have the best chance of winning. So first, you got to talk about the outer turn. So, you know, obviously there's the top lane outer. There's the right, and regardless of which one goes down first, the main goal here for first close, you have to take out all three. Now, I'm gonna go through what usually happens in mid to high elo versus what happens in. What usually happens in mid to high elo, one of these turns go down. So the side two turns, because people furiously protect their mid tower, because once that goes down, things get a lot harder for everyone, not just half the map. So usually one of the side towers go down, let's say bot lane or top lane, and then people rotate, try to grab the opposite one, and then grab the middle. Sometimes people will rotate to grab the middle one first. I believe that, but preference, it's really whichever. But basically, the whole point is that people will move from where they are. Following first, move from where they are. A different lane. ADC on to, and so will support. They'll be around mid lane, top if they have to, and the jungler will play around where the new tower is going, and it goes down. What I constantly see happening is that the first tower will go down. The enemy support are in base, come back. This tower has gone down, and the people who just won the tower will recall, and they will run right back into their lane, and they'll stay there. Now you see, there's always the point of, well, what if they just got additional pressure to take out the tier tower, right? And that's totally possible, but that usually requires a good rotation, because once you get on the tier 2 tower, more people are likely to jump to defend, because it's further and further into the base, and less people want you near their inhibitors. you draw a lot of attention. Rather than rotating your overall power in the game, your overall power play somewhere else to keep advantages going. Obviously, where the jungler fits in all this is he just plays around whichever lane is doing well to encourage a tower takedown and encourage kills on the enemy opponents. When his strong people rotate, he rotates with them in order to continue this advantage. If the jungler himself is strong, well then in that case he can sort of just kind of do what he's done before in the new area, or if his laners haven't decided to just go ahead and assume jungle control of next to that lane where the opponents, like if bot lane won, the jungler is fed, he will assume control of this area for additional farming. So now he has all of this to play around. That will allow him to put more pressure here if need so, and mid if need so. Now, what happens usually in low elo, like I said, is people come back, they go straight back to the lane, and no additional pressure is created. That is a problem. You really need to move your key players around, or else you're just keeping your advantage in one area, and League is a team game. You need to take your advantage, translate that into advantage. So move around, help everyone else out, make this game winnable. Now, one thing before I get into the inner towers is Rift Herald Rift Herald can be used, is generally used outer tower, as in the first 3, or the inner tower the next. Inhibitor, if you need to use it there, you're snowballing so much you don't really need advice, kind of throw it down, grab the inhibitor. That's really general and it's not very specific, and there's nuance, but it's not really that. If you get your Rift Herald there, you're probably snowballing. So once you've taken out a tower, or maybe you don't have a tower yet, but you get a Rift Herald, basically all you have to do to get a clean Rift Herald off is make sure you have a number advantage on that side of the map, and then on the Herald. But not just the numbers advantage, you need a power advantage. So if its top has the Rift Herald and jungle comes up, this is 2. This is a numbers advantage. They are one more person than top lane. Maybe a 2 number advantage would be best. So you know, mid lane comes 2. That's like the easiest one. But you can really do it with 2. Just obviously need to be a little bit more patient. Now, if we're moving from here, you spawn the Rift Herald, get the tower pretty easily because Rift Herald fresh will take about half a tower's HP. In the upcoming patch notes, 8.9 is going to take a lot more. This still is applicable. So it takes about half health. Hopefully, if they were winning that lane, that's usually where you want to use Rift Herald. Bear people. Then that's the whole tower because it's probably half dead. Or it's half dead now when you just kind of whittle down the rest and they don't want to mess with you because you have Rift Herald there taking aggro for a while and you have 2 people there and they don't want to step up to them. How does this work if you have a... Now, this doesn't work if the enemy team has a power advantage. If this top laner is 6-0, your top laner is 0-6, and your jungler's 2-0, it doesn't really matter if you throw down Rift Herald because they're not really going to be scared of 2 running you. Top laner isn't even like a full player right now. He's 0-6. Jungler is an accelerated jungler for sure, but at like a third of the ratio that the top laner is, and the top laner is getting lane farm, so he's probably up a level or 2 on the jungler, plus gold, because minions are crazy amounts of gold. Junglers tend to get less gold from jungle camps, even though jungle camps are a good source of gold. Not as much as the laner would get, but comparable to make them important in the game. So you don't have a power advantage here. The top laner is going to have no problem rocking right into whoever's spawning it and just attacking you, or holding it back as long as you can, get some damage off, and even then when it's at the tower, unless that it kills the tower, they're going to go ahead and just whittle it down, and you're not going to walk towards them under their tower with a huge power advantage. There'd be no point. You'd get killed. Don't do that. So you need a power advantage or a numbers advantage. Now, could it work the other way where the top laner is 06 and he spawns a Rift Herald? Yes, kind of. Top laner 06, even though this person's 06 person, top laner 6-0 and this person's 06 person's 0, they are less likely to want to just fight these two plus their tower, even though they have the Rift Herald. So they would probably want maybe at least one person to even the numbers. So even though they don't have a number advantage, they have a power advantage. You basically want equivalency in one and higher in the other. So either equivalent power or greater and higher numbers, as in so, or equivalent numbers but higher power. Rift Herald takes that. This is basically the same for inner turrets as well. It's not much different. The only thing I would say here is obviously you need side control jungle. So let's move into getting control and closing out games from the. There are again 3 of them, and you need to take them out. The easiest way to do so is take out the top side one, take out the bot side one, take out the middle, or reverse order. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Top side one, bottom side one, or middle, or bot, top, middle. Take out the middle first, great, you're golden. You're in a great scenario where taking out the other 2 are equal. The reason this one is harder for low elo players is because, unlike high elo players will have the jungler assume control of this side. Even if they're not winning, they'll go here with the support or by themselves, get a lot more wards, they'll pink. If the enemy wants to walk through here, the field is dark, they can't do that easily. It'll be an ambush if they do, and they'll just have some sort of number or power advantage on this side of the map, and they'll take out the tower. Obviously, Rift Herald makes it a lot easier, same notes as before. First 3. But what I noticed low elo players tend to do is that they will just form up on like 5 people regularly on one tower, and everyone on the enemy team is at said tower. This normally happens and they're just trying to auto it down. But even if you have an advantage, like if you have a power advantage, you don't really have a full number advantage if there's a tower there, and you're not like really ahead and can just sort of ignore the tower, and you know how to juggle aggro from the tower and things like that to make that the pressure goes well. Obviously the thing, you know, making the enemy off, but that's indicative of getting a number / power advantage, whittling the enemy down, make them have to go back to basic health. So normally I'll just see like people jam into mid lane. This is probably like the one thing that I think low elo's players need to stop doing the most, is just this all ARAM stuff. And it's not just bronze and silver players that do this. I have watched many gold, below plat, and even mid plat games. Same thing happens. Everyone forms up in mid lane for no reason, where it's more risky to do so than just going to the side lanes and grabbing a tower, and then using the pressure from things to then get mid tower far easier. Can't ARAM. Not ARAM. There's 3 lanes. It is probably one of, if mid is probably the most important lane, not the only lane. Get pressure elsewhere, move inward. Go ahead. When you have the side lanes down, it makes it easy. You have control of this jungle. Have presumed control of the other half. Even if you don't have wards there, enemy doesn't want to go into a non-warded jungle for free, so they're usually relegated to walking along the sides. Like, they will walk in the lanes, they'll walk back here, they'll walk up to this tower, and they'll walk like this. But unless they're not thinking about it, usually lower elo players, they won't just walk straight into the jungle. And if they do, your team, you have a 50-50 shot because you will have control. Your team will be there for kills, and then hey, that is more power, that is a better ratio of power from your team to their team, and a better number and more numbers from their team out. And then it just makes things a lot easier. Just to talk about how to get the jungle control, obviously you need to ward, you need to sweep, so pink ward, sweepers, very possible, because you need to make sure the enemy has as little vision as possible. the most they will end up having if they like really try to keep up vision is maybe like right here, so they know if at least if they go sort of into their jungle, they're not immediately dead, but they'll be dead in a bit. If they go any further, and hopefully you guys are there, you know, it stops them from really contesting. Now to move into late game, Baron and the last three are the hardest because of just because of how what is it? Oh, the last three are the hardest because of the choke point right here. The enemy team has a way to exit their base from this gate and this gate, but the only way for your team to step up and hit the tower is these little funnels here of space. And when you have a smaller area for your ADC and your mid laner carries essentially to attack the tower, then it's easier to land CC. So it's more dangerous. This is why people will usually grab a Baron to do this. Obviously, if your lead is large enough, and remember power differential and number differential matter a lot. If you have those things in play, you don't need Baron. This is where people usually get Baron because Baron makes it a lot easier. It's hard to clear the minion. You have a siege minion usually firing the tower, so even if you're not immediately damaging it, you're still getting damage on it. It helps immensely. Because eventually then it will go down. Obviously to get Baron, you get ward control. This is not really a video on grabbing Baron, closing out the game, but obviously get ward control of the area near Baron. Put a pink in the pit so that they can't see. If they throw anything into the pit that's not a pink, do not attack it. You automatically give them vision of the person attacking it and their surrounding area, which is usually Baron and Baron's HP. Don't attack those wards. If it's a pink, kill it, because then they can see free. But if it's not a pink, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. There's no reason to attack it. Your pink ward is doing work. And make sure the pink ward is like sort of maybe off to the side here, so that it gets the whole pit, rather than in front where the back area of the pit isn't really getting full vision on it. So you get Baron, you see it up. A Baron gives you more advantages, basically as if you have an extra person on firing at that turret consistently when you have that siege there, and your minions are basically half a person ish, maybe 0.3 of a person, and they're obviously attacking the tower. Added benefit to you. Now the last part about closing out games is what do you do after you've gotten one in? Another area where I see many lower elo players faltering because they will get the inhibitor, usually because the games are mostly ARAMITs and they will just run down mid lane. Baron or no Baron, they will run down mid lane and just try to attack these towers. You can't do that. Well, you can, obviously, if your advantages are big enough, it's possible. It's just not efficient. Not efficient. You can do so. How do you feel in your games when you're in? When your inhibitor's down, you feel stressed because you have all this pressure of minions just funneling straight into your base constantly. You have to constantly check on, and you can't really leave your base anymore to go farm this or this. So if you're the jungler, you're getting less gold because you have to take from a lane, or at least the team is getting sort of less gold. They have to continuously. They have to spread out who's getting what gold. Instead of 4 people farming 4 areas on the map, it's 4 people farming 3 areas on the map, assuming your support isn't farming. And even though you get increased gold because siege minions are worth more, and the enemy team isn't really getting gold from this, still not great. You have all this pressure. So instead of having just one pressure avenue, what if you had multiple pressure avenues? Form up as a team. Once this has come down and they have siege here, this is one pressure avenue. Go to a side lane. If Baron's down, then you probably want to be Well, when Baron's down, then it doesn't really matter which one you're attacking. I believe people prefer to topside if Baron is down, because that way, when it comes up, you can get vision control of this area. So when Baron does eventually come up, it's less that you paint, it's less that you go ahead and sweep out and clear, because you've already been doing that beforehand. But when Baron is down, people usually go for bottom side, because even if they mess up and something goes horribly wrong, the enemy team still has to take longer, one, to run to said Baron, try to capture it. You have a longer time to wait for you guys to respawn and hopefully do something about it. Also, if they start chasing you from here, it's very far they have to go, and then they have to go all the way back up to Baron if they grab you. So it's just better, because no matter where they are on the map, you will have basically a shorter distance to get to Baron, or an equal distance from respawn or coming out of your base with home guards. Home guards basically put you like right here, so that's about less distance. That's great for you. Again, that's if you mess up, and if you don't mess up, well, this is just assurance. Insurance is great. That's what people pay for it. Save 15% by going to Geico. Not spawn. Fucking, so that's your inhibitor rotation. Then once you have multiple inhibitors down, just push in with the minions and start attacking these towers here. Excellent. Out again. Start attacking these towers here. Also, did you know that these two towers are probably the weakest of the entire game? I don't remember if that means in the damage they do to champions. I doubt it. But I believe that means in sort of like how much damage they can take. So with inhibitor minions there, or super minions, when super minions are there and they're moving in and you get free hits, there's all this open space essentially to be next to, and you don't have to worry about this little funnel like before. So it's just better. Just get more area to move around. You can just take out these towers easily. Move in. Take this. Normally you don't have to kill anyone unless they're trying to stop you. Then usually if you'll have a number power advantage, and chances are you can just take them out. If it's the entire enemy team, wait, you want to take out the tower, go to another tower, take out the tower. Only when they step away from their towers, to about here-ish, you know, like this line, where your tanks aren't really hittable by the towers, you want to engage them, unless you're very confident and very strong and you bulldoze them regardless. That's a difference. Otherwise, if you're still even in a little above even, not super balling, but obviously winning, then you don't want to give them advantage back by walking into 2 extra members of the team, or I guess maybe 5 members. About say just 1 extra member. Don't give them that number power by jumping in, unless obviously you can surmount even that, because. And then there's the Nexus. Not much but kill that, so close the game out. It's these differences in what high, low, and low is. Summarize: when a tower goes down, rotate their power players. They rotate their power players around the map to grab more towers. Top those. Then they'll move in, and basically the whole line of scrimmage moves up, and now they're in here and they're trying to take left jungle or the right jungle. Now they're on these. Griff Herald to get one of these or one beforehand. Possible. Continue to push pressure up. You guys can't farm these 2 jungles. Get even more gold. Great. Aaron or whatever, and chip away at them. Try not to get caught by enemies, because, you know, obviously they have a higher chance. Not been caught. in and take them and go. Then, you know, they play around the Nexus turns properly. And comebacks. That's about it. The only thing else I could possibly cautious. I remember this being.
Sometimes I think back to the old days in the pointless conversations with the old me. Yeah.
I don't.
My mama used to hold me.
But a good thing to do, at least in games, is if you're low elo and you're trying to prevent this nonsense from happening, not necessarily to shot call, but at least try to ask your power player, or if you are the power player, to move around the map. If bot lane has just won and you're a top laner, it'd be like, hey guys, I'm pushing out my lane, whatever, swap up here, you know, get this tower, go do that, I'll take bot lane, let's swap. Mid laner, they're the power player, be like, hey yo, mid, come through, roam my guy, like, let's get this guy, let's do it. Yeah, if you're the top laner and if you're a laner and your people don't want to move, go to them. Create the advantage elsewhere. Start collapsing these tier 2 towers. I mean, flip. You gotta get pressure somewhere, right? Like, obviously push out your lanes first so that the enemy team can't get free access to your towers. That's a pretty good one. But that's what you gotta do. Just move people and power around in order to create advantages of areas you can get towers. That's about the standard. There's even more stuff that you go in depth to. Not this video. Thanks for watching.